Alright, hi out there people. Welcome back to another banger video. Hopefully my voice is loud enough to pick up on this potato camera I'm shooting on. In an age of increasing artificiality, you can rest assured that here on the Nick Cicada channel, we're using the cheapest possible, rawest, most grainy, low quality equipment. Not because I want to, but because my mom left the good camera out in the front yard and it got stolen. I'm not doing this to be more authentic or anything. I don't like this camera, really. I mean, I am in blue, which is cool, but hey, that's just the way the cookie crumbles. So today's video, we're talking about a subject that I'm surprised I haven't made a video on before. We're going over every single B-52's album, and I'm going to be ranking them from worst all the way up to best. Worst first, best for last. I'm surprised I haven't made this video before, considering that I have listened to every album on here several times over. The B-52's were they the first new wave band I ever listened to? I probably listened to Talking Heads first, but B-52's, they really said, this is what music can be. I was very young and naive, and then I popped on the B-52's and I was like, holy shit, music can just do this. Music can just be like this. You can just make music like this. So I'm surprised I haven't made this list before, considering what a formative, essential band the B-52's are for me. I own two B-52's albums on tape, the top two albums in this ranking. I own them literally on tape. That's how much I like the B-52's. They're in my permanent rotation. I can't stop listening to them. They're fucking awesome. B-52's are great. So yeah, as one of the only dedicated new wave review channels here on YouTube, I figure this is an essential list. So I'm here in blue to catch the wave, the new wave. So we're going to be ranking every B-52's album from worst to best. Let's get right into it. Alright, so at number 8, absolute last place, we have Bouncing Off the Satellites. This should come as a surprise to nobody who's familiar with B-52's history, with the B-52's as a group. This should not be a surprise. Bouncing Off the Satellites is an absolute snoozer. This album is the B-52's worst. That's not to say it's not an interesting album to listen to. You can listen to it, and you might be pleasantly surprised by the novelty of it, but in terms of the quality of the material that the B-52's can put out, I'm amazed this is a B-52's album, and also amazed it came at basically the halfway point of their career, because it sounds like some Mr. Bungle or some shit, you know, and I know some people like that, but I don't go to B-52's for amateur hour. Bouncing Off the Satellites does not have a single song on it that I go, wow, this is fucking awesome, like I should with B-52's. There's Theme for a Nude Beach, what's it called, Journey Inside Your Mind. The lead single, Girl from Ipanema Goes to Greenland, doesn't even sound like the Girl from Ipanema. I'd assume that would be like a sample in there or something, or you know, interpolation. You'd feel like, oh, it's a remix of Girl from Ipanema, but nope, it's just a weird, bad song that doesn't have a hook, which is like the most important part of a new wave song. You expect them to have a hook, like something really catchy, but it's just this rambling, weird, droning piece. Hey, I don't know, maybe if you like how weird the B-52's are, then this is the album for you. But I can't name a person who goes, well, Bouncing Off the Satellites is my favorite B-52's album. That person probably doesn't exist. And a lot of people just seem to forget this album even exists because it's so completely forgettable. The one highlight, I guess, is Housework. Its beat is slightly catchy. There are some fun sound effects like a vacuum in there, which you know, new wave is kind of supposed to do that. It's supposed to have interesting sounds to it, and you know, it's like Pink Floyd's Psychedelic Breakfast or whatever. But the theme of just a song about doing housework. I mean, you know, most people go to B-52's for like party music, and here they're just like, I'm vacuuming, and it's like, okay. So yeah, Bouncing Off the Satellites, not a very good album, I have to say. A disappointment coming from the fucking B-52's, and that's why it's dead last in terms of B-52's albums. Only listen to it after you've listened to every other B-52's album. Alright, at number 7, slightly better, but still not great, we have Good Stuff. Good Stuff. What to say about Good Stuff? Man, the decision not to have Cindy Wilson on this one really sucks, and her absence is completely felt. I mean, she's my profile picture on Instagram for a reason. I like Cindy Wilson's vocals, and I like the way that her and Kate Pearson's vocals mix together. And really, this album shouldn't have been called the B-52's Good Stuff. It should have just been called the B-52, because the B-52's are named after the bouffant hairstyles that the girls in the band wear. So if it's just Fred Schneider and Keith Strickland, you know, they don't have the bouffant hairstyle, it's just Kate Pearson with the bouffant, then it should just be called the B-52, because there's only one of them here. So yeah, Good Stuff is not as good an album as it could be because there's no Cindy Wilson on it. And, you know, I don't know why this is. I'm not in the B-52's, I'm not aware of all the drama that goes on. But after a highlight like Cosmic Thing, Good Stuff is a serious step down, and every song just feels, I don't know, neutered by Cindy Wilson's absence. It's not as good an album as it could be. I guess that's the best way to put it. Good Stuff is an okay lead single. It's like, alright. I think Modine is on this one. Modine's fucking awesome, but I'm judging these albums as like complete listening experiences, not just on terms of their one song. Obviously on Is That You, Modine, Fred Schneider takes most of the vocals, so it's not really a problem that Cindy Wilson is absent. And also it's based on a chant that the B-52's had going for years at that point, so it's not like a new thing exactly. It's kind of like a remix of an older thing. So that's cool, I guess. And you know, Modine's fucking awesome. I mean, as far as alien characters go, I'm gonna be honest, when I see Modine heading around in his fucking astral projector faster than light UFO shit, you know, that's cooler than Ziggy Stardust to me. I'm just gonna say it. I mean, you know, no flack to Ziggy Stardust, but I do like Modine better as far as musical alien characters go. But Good Stuff as a whole, man, this album could really use some frickin' Cindy Wilson on it, because it is lacking. It is lacking in that department. And yeah, Good Stuff, more like mediocre stuff. Not as bad as Bouncing Off the Satellites. There's some songs on here that you can listen to, and they sound like B-52's, but they sound like a watered down, flat version of B-52's without that Cindy Wilson juice. Alright, moving on. Okay, at number 6, getting into the just objectively great territory now. Those are the only 2 albums that are really like, eh. Number 6, we have Whammy. Whammy is the only classic B-52's album from their classic period that I don't really think about too often. But that's not to say there aren't some great tracks on here. Big Bird and Butterbean, I don't really think about that often. Butterbean, I barely ever think about. That one's not that good. Queen of Las Vegas is fucking great. That's a good example, like I say, of where Kate Pearson and Cindy Wilson's vocals kind of harmonize in an interesting sort of way. Queen of Las Vegas is awesome. Trism is great. I love Trism. in the smoky streets of the night. Psh, 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 psh. All those crackling sounds. Man, Trism's slept on, I think. Then you got Whammy Kiss. I think that's one of the lamest lead singles the B-52's ever had. It's just about making out. Not an interesting subject as far as the B-52's go. I'm not as into it as some people, obviously, considering I'm a romantic. But Whammy does make up for it with Legal Tinder, one of the most interesting songs ever made. Certainly one of the most interesting new wave songs. It's about making counterfeit money. There's an interesting subject, way more interesting than making out, obviously. So yeah, Legal Tinder is fucking great. It does raise the status of this album a fair amount because I had to put it over good stuff. Legal Tinder is a definitive point, not just in B-52's history, but in new wave history. And it's about making fake money and defrauding the federal government, which is a fascinating subject. That's the kind of shit that more songs should be made about because it's legitimately interesting. And it's very subtle. You don't necessarily notice it unless you're paying close attention, really listening to the lyrics. Otherwise, it's just a catchy bop. But when the B-52's are like, so I fixed up the basement with what I was a-working with, and then you realize, oh, they're talking about committing a federal offense. This is a really interesting song right here. So yeah, Whammy, third B-52's album. Definitely not their best, but there's some good stuff on here. And yeah, I consider it the last, like, really classic period B-52's release. It's pretty good. I would recommend it. Alright then, next up we got Mesopotamia. When I said 8 B-52's albums instead of 7 B-52's albums, I decided to give Mesopotamia a spot, even though it's technically an EP. Although I didn't include Party Mix on here. Party Mix is just, you know, a mix. But Mesopotamia has original stuff on it, and I like that original stuff a lot. You got Throw That Beat in the Garbage Can. I love this song. I actually was at Zine Club one time making some handmade printed content, and I was like to the person running it, hey, put this song on. It's great. And everyone agreed, wow, Nick, this song is great. You have good taste in music. Throw That Beat in the Garbage Can. This beat is actually pretty freaking good. And considering it predates like modern production techniques or anything, it's pretty amazing what the B-52's are able to come up with percussion-wise. Throw That Beat in the Garbage Can is a great freaking beat. Aside from that, Mesopotamia has Loveland, which I don't know if it's named after the Colorado town or not. But I've been to Loveland. I was in Loveland this past winter, and I listened to this song while I was there, and it was like, wow, perfect theme song for this spot. Wonderful song, very underrated, obviously. Everything on Mesopotamia is underrated compared to the rest of the B-52's discography. The main song, Mesopotamia, man, there's an interesting subject. Mesopotamia, where else do you hear a song about Mesopotamia, right? Interesting shit. Mesopotamia is an interesting place, and the B-52's come through in spades with a song about this ancient civilization, even though the cover looks a little more like Egyptian hieroglyphs, and that's a whole different thing. Yeah, I guess they didn't really look into it too much, or maybe Mesopotamia has similar petroglyphs, I don't know, or whatever they're called. It looks a little too Egyptian for my liking, but you know that's the rub. And Fred Schneider even says on the song itself, "I ain't no student of ancient culture. I should read a book." And that's just so charming to admit one's own ignorance like that, and then to promote literacy. Imagine a song that actually promotes literacy and reading books. Fucking awesome. So yeah, the B-52's come through with a neato exploration into archaeology and history on Mesopotamia. Yeah, I will admit the cover is kind of charming. because it's like, you know, what if the B-52s were around in ancient times? And maybe that's why they were hired to do the soundtrack for the Flintstones movie. I don't know. It's kind of interesting to think about. Plus, David Byrne produces this, so it's basically like a crossover episode, and you can hear the little talking heads flourishes if you're paying close attention. That's a neat detail. So there's some production choices on this that are kind of talking headsy, but it's like the B-52s singing over it, so it's interesting. Very interesting piece of new wave history, new wave culture, ancient culture, all of that jazz. Mesopotamia is one that should not be slept on. Alright, in fourth place, we got Wild Planet.
And then it's pounding in your brain.
You might be offended I'm putting Wild Planet this low in the mid-range, but that doesn't mean I don't like Wild Planet. I like Wild Planet a fair amount. Private Idaho is on here. That song kicks. That song rocks. That song sends it up into the stratosphere. You got frickin' Give Me Back My Man is on Wild Planet. For whatever reason, I always think that's on the debut, but it's not. But it sounds so good, it sounds as if it could be on the debut and you wouldn't notice. Give Me Back My Man is where Cindy Wilson absolutely cements herself as one of the all-time great vocalists, not just new wave vocalists, but just great vocalists in general. When I think, you know, top singing, I think Cindy Wilson, they're on the stage, there's mist coming from behind, Kate Pearson's going at it on the keys, Keith Strickland on the drums, boom, 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 and there's like sheet metal in that song or something. I've always said it, I swear, that's the sound effect they use, where it's like, it's like sheet metal. They take like a sheet of construction equipment, or like, you know, iron or steel or something, and they just like wham it like a baking pan, you know. It's such a cool sound effect. I love that production sensibility on Give Me Back My Man. Wonderful song. Absolute new wave opus. Just like, it might be the best B-52 song ever, actually. Yeah, I might go as far as to say that's like, it's not the most fun B-52 song, but it is the one with the most depth, complexity. It's like a new wave symphony, Give Me Back My Man. What a freaking song. Private Idaho is good. I will say, some of the songs on Wild Planet, they just don't hit for me personally. Like Devil in My Car, not a favorite. Not just because I'm an atheist and I don't believe in the devil, but like, it's just too gimmicky. I don't know. The thought of like, the devil's in my car and I don't want to go to hell with the devil, you know, that's like they're kind of running out of ideas there. Also, Quiche Lorraine, I'm just not a dog person, so I don't get that song. Although I did know someone once who is the only other B-52's fan I ever ran into in my life, and she was a huge fan of Quiche Lorraine. She was like, I like Wild Planet the most. That's the one with the song about the dog in it, right? And I was like, yeah. I don't really like Quiche Lorraine. Oh, Dirty Back Road. Dirty Back Road's on Wild Planet. So that, you know, that makes up for it. Dirty Back Road is a pretty gimmicky song, but holy shit, it sounds interesting. The stuff that is able to be done on the guitar, where it sounds like a frickin' leaky spring or something, it's really fascinating. What I guess it was Ricky Wilson on guitar at that point, what Ricky is able to do with that. What an interesting guitar bit. I really like that. And the vocals, it's like, reckless driving. That's a very interesting B-52's song. On Wild Planet, you can tell that the B-52s are trying to recapture the sound of the debut. They're not really reinventing themselves altogether with Wild Planet, like they would with Whammy. Whammy has a very different sound. I would classify Wild Planet and Debut as more so punk albums, whereas everything from Whammy and Mesopotamia onward is more so just straight new wave. But with Wild Planet and Debut, you get kind of a very rough, jagged, experimental feel And it's very much still there on Wild Planet, but Wild Planet just isn't as good. I can't, in all honesty, say Wild Planet stacks up to the debut. That's why there's 2 albums ahead of it before we get to number 1, which I think you all know what number 1 is. But anyway, Wild Planet, yeah, it's good. And Give Me Back My Man has to send it like a couple spots up there. Okay, at number 3, Funplex. This is probably the most controversial choice on the whole list, but yeah, I do think Funplex is the 3rd best B-52's album. It really is one of those swan songs that you just can't get enough of. I know some people are into the Beach Boys. I think the Beach Boys are overrated hacks. I think everyone who says Brian Wilson is a genius has never listened to Jimi Hendrix or anyone like that who actually has an ear for composition. I think the Beach Boys are a watered-down barbershop quartet of nonsense. Whatever, this isn't my Beach Boys rant video, this is my B-52's video, but you know, a lot of people say, what's it called? That's Why God Made the Radio is a good Beach Boys album and a great send-off to the Beach Boys. But how people feel about that album in, what is it, 2014? That's how I feel about fucking Funplex in 2008. Funplex is an awesome last album. A lot of classic bands made their, you know, last album in the 2010s, late 2000s, that type of period. They just, you know, went the entirety of the 2000s or most of the 2000s and 90s without making any new material, which fucking sucked. And then around, you know, 2008 to 2015-ish, that kind of stretch, they just say, okay, here's our last thing ever, and then we're gonna break up. And it was like, okay, what a time to actually grow up when every band is just like putting out their last shit ever and then just packing it up. Hey, Donald Fagen is still putting out new albums, so that's cool. Anyway, so Funplex, what to say about Funplex? This is legitimately a really good album, and you know, it's amazing the B-52's continued to tour for a decade plus after this album came out. I think they're still going a little bit without Kate Pearson, I think, or without Cindy Wilson, one of them. But it's just like 3, or maybe it's just 2. I don't know. It's really whittled down the B-52's experience. But Funplex, what a way to go out! What a last album to end on. I really, really like Funplex for whatever reason. I like the lead single. It has a fun commentary on consumerism. It's very tongue-in-cheek. It doesn't feel preachy at all. It both, you know, celebrates and condemns the American shopping mall. And given that now shopping malls are also kind of irrelevant, it's a fun little tribute to them. It's a fun little ode. At the time, 2008, when it came out, obviously, it was the financial crash, so it feels very topical. RuPaul's in the music video. The music video is fun. It's like this green screened, it feels very up to date. I feel like the B-52's actually adjusted their sound to the 21st century remarkably well. They could have just stuck with their old-fashioned rock and roll synths, but they really updated it to the point where it feels like if the B-52's were like Britney Spears. Like some of the songs on Funplex, they sound like new wave Britney Spears, if that makes any sense at all. They have the same kind of sparkly polish and sheen. It's fucking interesting to hear what the B-52's sound like in the 21st century in a 2008 context. It is unlike every other B-52's album. It's very, very different, but it's very, very cool. You've got songs like Dancing Now, Too Much to Think About, Deviant Ingredient. I love Deviant Ingredient. That song's the shit. Some of the cuts on here are kind of bland. Love in the Year 3000, not so much. Juliet of the Spirits, although it is a reference to a very cool movie. Kind of a boring song. What is it? Eyes Wide Shut? No, Eyes Wide Open. I think it's Eyes Wide Open. I guess it's not Eyes Wide Shut, but you know, that song, not so much. But the bops on here, like Dancing Now and Too Much to Think About, just really, really solid entries in the B-52's discography, and such an interesting sound. When I think of 21st century new wave, I think of mainly two albums. Downtown Rockers by Tom Tom Club, because that album is very, very good. And I think of Funplex. I mean, Funplex is the more well-known album, obviously, of the two. But yeah, it's just freaking interesting. There's nothing quite like it out there. It's very different from what came before it, but it's also very recognizably B-52's. What a way to go out. A fantastic cap on the B-52's sound. And I would say, when I think of 21st century new wave, I don't think of Ariel Pink or MGMT or any of those revival acts. I think of Funplex. I think B-52's at the top of their game, crushing it, going out the way that they should have. What a wonderful finale to the B-52's career. I don't know if at the time they knew this was going to be the last one, but it is a very good finale to what is overall a fantastic new wave band. So yeah, at number 3, Funplex. That might be the most controversial decision on this list, so sue me, we're moving right along. Alright, at number 2, we got Cosmic Thing. I don't think this is a controversial decision at all. Holy shit. Is there an album with more straight listenability than Cosmic Thing? There is not a single song on this album that I would skip, actually. There's not a single song that I would say is worse than any other particular song. They are all fucking amazing. And I do not say this lightly. Cosmic Thing is one of those albums you can just listen to over and over again. Like I say, I have this one on tape, and the next one on tape too. I have both of them on tape. I listen to Cosmic Thing on and on. I play it at my open mic because it's just that freaking good. It's good background music. It's good listening music. Everyone likes it. You got Deadbeat Club. You got Rome. You got Bushfire, Topaz, Follow Your Bliss. Wonderful instrumental. Sounds like the fucking 90s. When I think the 90s, I think of Follow Your Bliss. What a relaxing, beautiful, just guitar instrumental. Just Keith Strickland for whatever, 3 fucking minutes straight. And even though it's kind of repetitive, it doesn't get old. It puts you into a trance state. Cosmic Thing is hypnotic. Now I will admit, Cosmic Thing, the song itself, isn't amazing, but in terms of science fiction music, it's pretty damn fun. It's not as good as Modine, but as far as alien songs go, it always puts me in a good mood, gets me primed for what's to follow. It's kind of just an introductory piece. And then you got Dry County, freaking, what else is on here? Junebug, I already said that. I don't think I did. There's just so many good songs on Cosmic Thing. Wow, 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 this album really just delivers. It really is just that freaking great. I can't say a single negative thing about Cosmic Thing. It's that good. After the totally tepid release of Bouncing Off the Satellites and the death of Ricky Wilson, you can tell that the B-52's want to put out an album that is really just for the fans and really just gets everyone going in a good mood, in the right headspace. You got all 4 of the remaining B-52's. So yeah, Cosmic Thing is the best album of the latter half of the B-52's discography. Absolutely fantastic release. You can tell they were all just fucking locked in when they made this, right? Like every single song is just a banger, just an absolute slam dunking, home running, home slamming, slam running thing, right? That's Cosmic Thing for you. Wonderful freaking album. And it sounds like the 90s. It sounds updated from their 70s material, but it's so B-52's and it's so mesmerizing. It's so tranquil. It sounds like relaxed, also very peppy. Some of the songs, like Deadbeat Club, are just like, yeah, we're a bunch of freaking do-nothing new wave addicts. We just sit around and loaf and come up with songs. What the fuck of it? Actually, I couldn't say a single bad thing about Cosmic Thing. There's the one thing I don't like about Cosmic Thing, is it gave us Love Shack. I always forget Love Shack is on this album. I kind of just block it out of my mind, because Love Shack is the B-52's song for people who don't listen to the B-52's. It's the song that everyone knows and assumes represents the sound of the B-52's, but really doesn't. Not that it's a bad song, it just doesn't sound like the B-52's to me for whatever reason. Maybe that's why so many people like it, because it doesn't sound like B-52's. But Love Shack, I don't really like Love Shack. It's just one of those like one-hit wonder type of deals. I know the B-52's aren't a one-hit wonder, but you know, it feels like that. It feels like if they were a one-hit wonder, that would be their one hit, and then everything else would just be completely obscure. So I don't like to go too much for Love Shack. But you know, that's just kind of the nature of the beast. Cosmic Thing is designed to be a hit factory, and Rome and Deadbeat Club were also huge hits. Love Shack just happens to be like the one B-52 song everyone knows. Like, you mentioned the B-52's and they're like, you mean Love Shack? And it's like, follow your bliss, dude, you know? That song kicks Love Shack's ass. Yeah, it's not a bad song, but it's overplayed to hell. Aside from that, though, just as an overall experience, Cosmic Thing, wonderful album, absolutely spectacular. And I don't even skip Love Shack. I just kind of forget about it. Okay, and finally, at number 1, we have the B-52's.
Oh, it's time to do 'em right.
The debut album. You all saw this coming. You all knew it was going to be number 1. It's just that freaking good. The B-52's debut album, 1979. What to say about this one, man? Did this kick off a whole era or what? Talking Heads 77 is widely considered the first new wave album, but the B-52's debut album, this is where new wave really starts feeling like new wave. This is a formative entry to the genre. You got Rock Lobster. You got There's a Moon in the Sky Called the Moon. 6060842. And I'm Waiting for You. So many good songs on the debut album, and this is also the first B-52's album I ever listened to, and I think it was a great place to start. This is the first album I would recommend listening to if you want to get a feel for what the B-52's are all about. This is them at their most basic and primal, them at their most raw and unhinged. It's very experimental, it's very strange. It's very interesting music, but it's also immensely listenable. There isn't really the filler you find on Wild Planet, which came after and tried to recapture the same sort of look and feel, but the debut really doesn't have a single song that I can overlook. Yeah, there are some that I don't remember as much, like Lava, or There's a Moon in the Sky, but that doesn't mean at all that they're bad songs. They are freaking kickers. And what defines this album is it's a little bit darker. It's a little bit weirder. It's a little bit more demonic sounding, I guess would be a good way to put it. Rock Lobster, I know, is the other fan favorite, or not fan favorite, but you know, normie favorite for people who don't listen to the B-52's. That and Love Shack. Rock Lobster is a better song, and whenever I listen to it, I think of like a frickin' Archie comic for whatever reason. I don't know exactly why, that just pops into my head. Yeah, this is like an Archie comic, right? Yeah, here's you know, Betty and Veronica, Jughead's making a sandwich, and then they dive down to the bottom of the ocean. There's a fucking big fish there, and there is actually an Archie comic like that. I remember it specifically, like Archie goes down to the bottom of the ocean, and there's like Betty and Veronica mermaids there, or some shit. That's an actual Archie comic that exists, but when I listen to Rock Lobster, that's the kind of vibe I get. Obviously, they're going for that type of feel and aesthetic, but more so like a Frankie Avalon, Annette Funicello movie, right? Like beach swap and spit, beach orgy, or whatever those movies were of the '60s. Beach blanket banging or whatever. So that's the kind of feel that Rock Lobster goes for. And you got just like this psychedelic sequence that you can see in your mind where all the fish are going through. Here comes the dogfish. And they just make these weird noises. Wonderful song. Very interesting. Not my favorite off the album. My favorite has to be Hero Worship. Hero Worship is fucking underrated. It sounds kind of like a Velvet Underground song, which I like. It's interesting. The chord progression on Hero Worship, there's really nothing else like it that the B-52's ever made. But it is a phenomenal freaking song. I like it a lot. It's a good monologue, and I've actually played it live. Then you got, what else? Planet Claire. What an opener. My gosh. Even though it's not like a lead single, because this album doesn't really have a lead single, Planet Claire is perfect at introducing the world to the B-52's. When I listen to it on tape, it's like it starts out, and it's got this like forklift noise or something, some kind of industrial equipment, like a dolly or something they brought in. It's like beep, 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 beep. And that's a wonderful sound. And then you got that little like transmitter, like it's transmitting up to Planet Claire. And then you got that kicking guitar riff comes in. Boom, 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 boom. It almost sounds like the Peter Gunn theme. There's a very Dwayne Eddy quality to it. It's very direct. It really hits you. It's good surf music, right? Everyone talks about, again, I know this isn't my Beach Boys bashing video, but everyone talks about the Beach Boys are good surf music. Not only does Dwayne Eddy predate them and is like surf music for people who actually listen to surf music, B-52's make better surf music. Rock Lobster's a better surf song. Planet Claire's a better surf song. Even though it's not about surfing, it's about aliens, but it's a better surf song. Planet Claire is, I would say, better than Cosmic Thing in terms of alien songs. It's about this guy, Fred Schneider, he portrays, and he's got this girlfriend, Claire, and he's like, damn, Claire's from another planet, because I don't get what her deal is. And just the tortured, like, it's almost like a freaking Twilight Zone episode, how he describes it, like, some think she's from Mars, or one of the 7 stars, but she isn't! And he sounds so tormented, he sounds like he's being tortured or some shit. It's fucking incredible. Planet Claire, what a song. And just that forklift noise in the background. Beep, 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 beep. It's really interesting. A wonderful example of innovative instrumentation, which I say is one of the core elements of New Wave, is that you try new things, new and different things with your instruments. Planet Claire is the opener. It introduces the world to the B-52's, to the world of wacky weirdness you're about to plunge into, where everyone breathes pink air and no one has a head or whatever. No one ever dies, like that. And then you got 6060, a song about the filthy numbers written on the inside of bathrooms. What a bizarre subject for a song, but it's very catchy. 6060842, and I'm waiting for you. On the tape copy I have, there's actually an asterisk after that song, and then it says, this is not a real phone number. You cannot actually dial 6060842 and get a response. And it's like, well, yeah, because there's no prefix. Maybe that's how phone numbers were in the late 70s or in the B-52's area. I don't know, but they had to like include that. You can't actually call this, although if you could, and you could get like a recorded response from the B-52's or something, that would be cool. I love that song. You got Lava, I'm gonna jump in a crater, see you later. Man, that song, it's got so many volcano references, and I like that. And then you got the Downtown cover. what a nice way to end the album off, honestly. Even though I think it's the only cover the B-52's ever did. I don't think they ever did any other cover of any other musician's songs. But somehow it just feels right. It feels like this both improves on the original and perfectly captures the spirit of the original. I like the original, the one with the big strings and the big emotional feeling. And since I live in Denver, which is a big city with a downtown, I always think of the Central Business District here in Denver whenever I listen to Downtown, either version. But I'd be kidding myself if I said I didn't prefer the B-52's version. It's just better. You just got little inflections like, I know a place to go. It's the way they say it. And then you got like this kind of calliope organ synth type deal on there. Wonderful use of the keys. I love it. Downtown, a wonderful way to close the album off and just kind of send the listener out on a good note. Yeah, so the B-52's debut album, I like to think of Hero Worship as kind of the centerpiece of it. That's my favorite song. I know many people's would be Rock Lobster just because of its historical significance, its pioneering attitude, how it really cemented New Wave as a cultural movement, but I like Hero Worship the most. So sue me, it's just got the better vocal performance, the best chord progression on the whole damn album. It's so catchy. Rock Lobster is good. There's a Moon in the Sky, Planet Claire, everything on the debut album is good. It's also pretty short, so you're not losing too much time by listening to the whole thing. And like I say, it's where I recommend starting if you want to get into the B-52's, if you want a good idea, a good sketch of what their whole deal is, before you jump into the more complex figures on Cosmic Thing or Wild Planet or whatever. So yeah, B-52's debut album is my favorite B-52's album, the absolute best. They never really went over it in my opinion. Like all sequels, all of them failed, but they did a damn good try. It's never quite recaptured the pure, raw, unfiltered 1979 magic that made their breakout just such a cannonball splash into music, and no one had ever heard anything like this before, and it's just fucking wild and interesting and fun. So yeah, B-52's debut at number 1, the absolute top. So there you have it. That's my definitive B-52's worst to best ranking. All 8 albums, 7 albums and 1 EP. They're together for your interest, for your perusal. That's B-52's. Let me know if you'd like to see something similar with Diva or Talking Heads or whoever. I've listened to all of them many a time, but I felt the B-52's is a good place to start. It's not too big a discography, but it is contested. There is room for a varying degree of opinions. What do you think of B-52's? Let me know down on the comments below. I'm filming this on a potato right now, so not the best quality, but yeah, hopefully this was useful to some extent. I'm just in an ocean of blue here and sailing the new wave seas with you, so yeah, that'll be all for today. Kick it.